chosen one. This message is not for everyone, and I need you to understand that from the very beginning. Only those who truly walk the divine path of God should remain here. If a person does not honor the Most High or carry a sincere desire to rise in spirit, they will not understand the weight of what is about to be spoken. This message is reaching you at the perfect time, not a second too early or too late. It carries revelation, protection, and truth, and it will change the way you see the attacks formed against your life. Chosen one, listen closely. There is something connected to your photo, something that was handled in the spiritual realm without your awareness. Someone tried to shape an outcome that God never wrote for you, yet heaven overturned it before it could manifest. What you are about to learn will help you understand why the enemy failed and why you are still standing with divine purpose. Stay with me until the end, because the revelation that awaits you will shift your spirit and strengthen your path. Before we continue, I want you to respond. Comment only one number your spirit aligns with. 777 333 999. And if you have not yet liked this message, subscribe to Rise of the Chosen, tap the bell icon, and share this with another chosen vessel who needs this word today.
The hidden ritual behind your photo. Chosen one. There is something you must understand before anything else. When the enemy cannot touch your destiny directly, they look for a doorway, a symbol, or a spiritual imprint connected to you. For many chosen ones, that doorway is often a photograph. A photo is not just an image. It carries presence, essence, memory, and the invisible signature of the soul. When someone looks at your picture with darkness in their heart, they are not just looking at pixels. They are attempting to interact with your spiritual identity through a physical representation. This truth is not taught in ordinary places, but you are not an ordinary vessel. You are marked, set apart, sealed for divine purpose, and that is why attacks against you come in unusual forms. The moment your photo reached the wrong hands, the intention behind it was already poisonous. Someone believed that by cursing the image, they could harm the living soul behind it. They believed they could project confusion, fear, sickness, loss, and even death energy toward you. But what they did not understand is that chosen vessels are protected by the Most High in ways the enemy cannot decode. They do not understand why nothing works, why nothing sticks, why everything they send returns to them multiplied. They do not understand that your life is not open for manipulation because your path is written by the one who formed the stars. Chosen one. The reason your photo was targeted is because darkness studies light. They do not attack what carries no power. They do not pursue what carries no threat. There is something about your spirit that unsettles them. You are rising in a way that intimidates them. You are stepping into seasons they never expected you to survive. They saw your growth, your resilience, your awakening, and they reacted out of fear disguised as aggression. They tried to disrupt what God is building in you, but the heavens had already positioned angels to intercept every attempt before it could manifest. In the realm of darkness, curses are not random. They require intention, preparation, and a spiritual container. Your photo was used as an anchor to project spiritual energy toward you. The enemy attempted to superimpose death over your destiny by creating a symbolic representation of your downfall. This is why, in the spirit, a dead body appeared. It was never you. It was a spiritual decoy created during the ritual. Those who operate with evil intentions often form these symbolic substitutions in hopes of capturing the soul of the person they target. But when it comes to chosen ones, these representations cannot connect, cannot attach, cannot transfer. The decoy they created was not an image of your destruction. It was a mirror of their own delusion. The enemy believed that by forming a dead figure in the spirit, they could influence your physical reality. Their desire was to pull you into a season of spiritual death, dead opportunities, dead relationships, dead motivation, dead finances, dead inner strength. But the Most High intervened, and what they formed became useless. Instead of creating your downfall, they projected their own defeat. Instead of manifesting your destruction, they exposed their spiritual ignorance. Chosen. 1. Many of you have sensed something in your spirit recently. Sudden heaviness, sudden restlessness, unusual dreams, or moments where your intuition felt louder than usual. These were not random sensations, they were alerts from heaven indicating that someone attempted to reach into your life through a method they believed would bypass divine protection. But the truth is, no method, no ritual, no curse, no manipulation can bypass God's covering. The enemy can touch symbols, but they cannot touch your soul. They can touch representations, but they cannot access divine identity. They can form shadows, but they cannot rewrite destiny. Your photo in the hands of darkness became the battleground. But do not misunderstand this. It was also the place where heaven demonstrated its authority. While the enemy was forming curses, angels were forming shields. While the enemy was crafting intention, heaven was dismantling structure. While the enemy attempted to build a spiritual container, God shattered it before it could hold anything. They thought they were attacking you, but they were attacking a shield that reflects everything sent toward it. They were never touching you. They were only touching the barrier God established around you. The dead body seen in the spirit was a sign the ritual collapsed. It symbolized the death of the assignment, not the death of the chosen vessel. When divine power enters a dark ritual, everything counterfeit falls apart. Every intention reverses, every projection fails. What was meant to imprison you becomes the evidence that you are untouchable. Chosen vessels cannot be spiritually substituted. They cannot be impersonated. They cannot be traded in the spirit. Their identity is sealed, their path is guarded, and their destiny is untouchable. This is why you are still here. This is why the attack did nothing. This is why the curse evaporated the moment it was spoken. The enemy attempted to treat you like an ordinary person, forgetting that you carry divine authority. Your image is not just an image. It is a representation of God's handiwork, and darkness cannot manipulate what God has consecrated. Chosen one. You need to understand how dangerous your light is to the enemy. Every time you rise, darkness panics. Every time you heal, dark forces tremble. Every time you pray, spiritual realms shake. You carry something that disturbs their agenda. They wanted to silence you before your influence expanded, before your purpose awakened fully, before your divine assignment activated in power. But instead of stopping you, they revealed how important you are. Their attack became your confirmation. This is why you must not fear the ritual. You must not fear the photo that was targeted. You must not fear the symbolism they tried to form. Nothing they used connected to you. Nothing they intended attached to your destiny. The dead body they formed was a false image, a powerless projection, a hollow structure with no spiritual access to your essence. The Most High allowed you to sense disturbance, not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Heaven wanted you to know that although the attack existed, its failure was guaranteed. The dead body you saw in the spirit was not a warning of your end. It was evidence of the enemy's failure. It was the burial of their assignment. It was the silence of their intention. It was the moment their plan died before it could begin. Chosen one. What they formed collapsed. What they intended dissolved. What they tried to manifest was denied by heaven itself. You were never the target. You were never in danger. They touched an image, but they could not touch you. They attempted to script your ending, forgetting that God holds the pen. Why their plan failed before it even began. Chosen one, before we go deeper, you must understand a spiritual truth that many people never learn in their lifetime. Not every attack against you is capable of activating. Some schemes collapse before they even touch the atmosphere around your destiny. Some curses die the moment they are spoken. Some rituals fall apart the moment your name is mentioned, And this is not because the enemy is weak, it is because you are chosen, sealed and guarded by laws that darkness cannot override. The plan they formed against you failed long before they finished building it, because heaven does not allow chosen vessels to be spiritually substituted, spiritually cloned, or spiritually captured. There are spiritual laws set by the Most High that prevent the enemy from rewriting or reshaping the destiny of a chosen one. The enemy can observe you, they can envy you, they can speak against you. They can even attempt to send rituals, curses, or projections, but they cannot access the blueprint of your life. They cannot override the divine contract written over your existence. They cannot claim authority over what God marked as untouchable. That is why their plan collapsed before it gained momentum. Chosen one. Listen carefully. The failure of this ritual did not happen at the end. It happened at the beginning. God saw their intention before they verbalized it. God saw their plan before they assembled it. God saw their target before they looked at your photo. And heaven already declared that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not because the weapon is weak, but because the weapon cannot operate within the divine parameters surrounding your destiny. You are not defended only by angels. You are defended by spiritual laws, divine promises, and heavenly contracts that darkness cannot breach. The reason their plan failed is that they attempted something spiritually impossible. They tried to attach death energy to someone whose life is tied to a divine assignment. They attempted to write an ending for someone whose story is authored by God. They tried to build a dark exchange around your image, forgetting that your identity is not stored in physical representation. Your true identity is held in the spiritual realm where God Himself guards what belongs to you. The moment they laid hands on your image with a curse in their heart, heaven responded. The moment they called your name in darkness, divine justice activated. The moment they attempted to project death toward you, God reversed it. And this reversal was immediate. It did not require days or weeks. It happened the moment they started, because darkness cannot overpower the divine seal placed over your life. Chosen one. The dead body that appeared in the spirit was not you. It was the collapse of their intention. It was the failure of their curse. It was the spiritual representation of their plan dying before it could activate. When spiritual attacks collapse, they often take form in the spirit. What you saw was the end of the ritual, not the outcome of it. It was a visual demonstration that the curse expired the moment it was spoken. The enemy did not know this. They believed their ritual was gaining power. But in truth, it was crumbling from the inside, breaking apart because it could not connect to the divine. Darkness cannot claim a chosen one's life. Demons cannot override divine purpose. Sorcery cannot rewrite spiritual authority. A ritual cannot alter destiny. What belongs to God cannot be accessed by those who operate in darkness. And that is why their plan collapsed the moment they attempted to form it. Chosen one. The enemy underestimated how heavily guarded your spirit is. They saw your photo and believed they found a loophole. But your photo is not your identity. Your identity is anchored in the spirit, and the spirit within you is protected by heavenly forces. Nothing the enemy creates can attach to a vessel filled with divine purpose. Nothing they speak can override what God has ordained. Another reason their plan failed is because chosen vessels walk with spiritual fire. Your presence burns in the spirit. When darkness approaches you, there is a barrier they cannot cross. The energy surrounding your destiny is too powerful, too pure, too aligned with heaven for darkness to interact with directly. They tried to send death, but it returned to them. They tried to manipulate your image, but it backfired. They tried to call your spirit into destruction, but heaven answered instead and removed you from the equation. Chosen one. Pay attention to this truth. Every time the enemy attempts to harm a chosen vessel, they expose their weakness. They reveal that they cannot reach you. They reveal that they do not understand the level of protection you carry. They reveal how threatened they are by your rising spiritual power. The fact that they tried to curse your photo means they see something in you that they fear. They fear your growth. They fear your awakening. They fear your divine assignment. They fear your light. But the plan failed because the presence of God around you suffocates the intentions of darkness. When your destiny is protected, no ritual can penetrate it. When your path is written by heaven, no curse can erase it. When your identity is sealed by the Most High, no spiritual substitution can replace you. Chosen. One another powerful reason for their failure is timing. This attack came at a time when your spiritual rank was increasing, your discernment sharpened, your spiritual frequency elevated, your connection to God strengthened. Heaven had already positioned warriors to guard you, knowing an attempt was coming. While the enemy prepared their ritual, angels prepared your protection. While darkness crafted their intention, God fortified your spirit. By the time they touched your image, the spiritual environment around your life was already fortified. There are levels of protection that chosen ones carry that darkness cannot break through. This is not because you are perfect. It is because God has invested too much in your destiny for it to be disrupted by the hands of ordinary people. The anointing on your life is too significant. The purpose connected to you is too powerful. The spiritual impact you are meant to make is too important. Heaven guards its investments, and you are one of those investments. Chosen one. I want you to understand something deep. When a chosen one is attacked, heaven does not simply defend. Heaven teaches, heaven reveals, heaven exposes. This failed ritual is a sign that God wanted you to see who has been watching you, who has been speaking on your name, who has been attempting to reach into your spiritual field. The collapse of their plan is your confirmation. It is the revelation that you are stepping into a new dimension where attacks no longer intimidate you. They only reveal your power. This is why the plan failed before it began. It failed because they attempted to touch what they cannot access. It failed because they attempted to claim what they cannot possess. It failed because they attempted to reshape what God Himself has already structured. Chosen one. Your destiny is not fragile. Your spirit is not vulnerable. Your life is not open territory. Your purpose is not negotiable. Your path is not controlled by anyone except the Most High. That is why their plan died in the spirit. That is why the dead body appeared. It was the burial of their ritual. It was the collapse of their scheme. It was heaven declaring to you, nothing can take you out. The dead body. Symbolism and divine reversal. Chosen one. There is a profound truth hidden behind the spiritual image of the dead body that you must understand. What you saw, sensed, or felt was not a message of your downfall. It was a message of divine intervention. The dead body did not represent you. It represented the assignment formed against you. It was the spiritual embodiment of the curse collapsing under the weight of divine authority. When darkness attempts to project death energy toward a chosen vessel, heaven interrupts the process and redirects the outcome. The moment the ritual began, God was already dismantling it from above. What appeared as a dead body was the symbolic burial of an intention that never had permission to touch your life. The enemy thought they were preparing your ending, but heaven turned their preparation into a grave for the curse itself. The reason the dead body appeared is because the spiritual realm responds visually to the collapse of dark assignments. When something sent toward you dies, it takes form. The spiritual world communicates through symbols, and this symbol was loud, clear, and undeniable. The attack lost all access, all momentum, all connection to your destiny. It was a spiritual announcement that what they tried to build no longer existed. Chosen one. One thing you must know is that darkness never expects heaven to intervene with such force. They believe that rituals, curses, or projections will operate the way they planned. They believe that chosen ones are unaware, unguarded or spiritually vulnerable. But the moment they targeted your photo, the divine reversal activated. This reversal did not come later. It came instantly. Heaven saw the intention and decided that instead of stopping it quietly, God would turn it into a spiritual lesson for you, a revelation, a moment of awakening. The dead body was not a threat. It was evidence. Evidence that the ritual died. Evidence that the curse returned. Evidence that you are spiritually untouchable. When a chosen one is protected, even the shadows in the spiritual realm recognize it. Your identity is not accessible to darkness. Your blueprint is sealed. Your destiny is guarded by forces that demons cannot decode. That is why the dead body showed no resemblance to your spirit. If the attack had gained even minimal access, the image would have shifted to represent you. But instead, the image remained hollow, lifeless, and disconnected, because it was not formed from divine authority. It was formed from dark imagination. And dark imagination cannot shape the destiny of someone marked by God. Chosen one, pay attention. The dead body symbol is also a message about timing. You are entering a season where old attacks cannot follow you, old energies cannot touch you, old enemies cannot reach you. The dead body is the spiritual representation of everything that once attempted to block you now, lying powerless. You stepped into a new level without even realizing it. Heaven elevated your spiritual rank, and the elevation destroyed every old assignment that still had your name on it. You are not the same vessel you were months ago. You are rising, glowing, and awakening in ways that darkness cannot comprehend. But this symbolism goes even deeper. The dead body also represents substitution. In the spirit realm, when the enemy attempts to project death toward a chosen vessel, heaven creates a substitution, a spiritual container that absorbs the attack before it touches the chosen one. This is not a human substitution. It is a spiritual phenomenon designed to prevent access to your identity. The container takes the form of a lifeless body to show that the attack has been intercepted. It died before reaching you. It withered the moment it tried to form. The ritual was redirected into a decoy that held all the negative energy until heaven dissolved it. Chosen one. The enemy did not know this. They believed their ritual was working because they saw movement in the spirit. But what they saw was not their success. It was their failure. They saw the collapse of their own intention, but misinterpreted it as progress. Darkness often confuses its own destruction with victory, because they lack the discernment to understand divine interference. What they believed was the manifestation of their plan was actually the burial of their assignment. The dead body is also a prophetic sign for you. It means something powerful. Your old season is over. The version of you that was vulnerable to spiritual interference is gone. The version of you that tolerated attacks, negativity, or manipulation is gone. The version of you that questioned your spiritual power is gone. The dead body represents the death of your old spiritual cycle and the emergence of your divine authority. You are stepping into a season where the attacks themselves will reveal your strength. You are no longer reacting from fear. You are understanding from wisdom. Chosen one. This is why you have been feeling a strange shift within yourself. Something inside you has awakened. You are more aware. You are more sensitive to spiritual energy. You are more in tune with God's voice. The reversal that took place did not only destroy the curse, it activated something inside of you. Heaven uses attacks as training grounds. What was meant to weaken you ended up strengthening your discernment. What was meant to confuse you sharpened your spiritual senses. What was meant to drain you elevated your consciousness. The enemy thought they were attacking your life, but God used the attack to build your spiritual identity. And this brings us to another layer of the symbolism. The dead body is proof that you are guarded by covenant protection. The Most High does not allow chosen vessels to face spiritual death because chosen vessels are assigned to carry out divine missions. You are needed. You are valuable. You are purposeful. And when something is needed by the kingdom, no force of darkness can remove it prematurely. The dead body was not your ending. It was the ending of everything sent to remove you from your path. Chosen one. Listen carefully now. The reversal did not just protect you. It exposed your enemies. It revealed their intentions. It unmasked their hidden jealousy, fear, and resentment toward your spiritual growth. The attack showed you the truth about who has been watching you silently, who has been speaking negatively about you, who has been trying to imitate your energy, who has been attempting to block your rise. God allowed the ritual to begin not so it could work, but so it could reveal. You were supposed to see the dead body so you would understand that what was sent to kill your purpose is now dead itself. Before we move forward, I want you to respond once more. If this resonates with your spirit, comment only one number that aligns with your discernment. 777 333 999 666 444. Do not use more than one, just the number your spirit chooses. Chosen one, the dead body also symbolizes something sacred, the preservation of your destiny. Your purpose is too significant for God to allow any substitution. When a chosen one rises, darkness tries to remove them before they recognize their own authority. But the reversal that took place was heaven declaring that your purpose is protected by divine order. No curse can alter the timeline God established for your life. No ritual can rewrite your calling. No spiritual projection can remove a chosen vessel from their assignment. What the enemy formed died. What they spoke dissolved. What they attempted to manifest returned to them powerless. You walked away untouched because heaven stood before you, shielding you, covering you, and reversing everything sent your way. The dead body is not a warning. It is a celebration. It is heaven showing you that the battle ended before it began, and the victory was already yours. The identity attack. Why they wanted you gone. Chosen one. There is something you must grasp if you truly want to understand why they went as far as cursing your photo. This attack was never really about your physical life. It was about your identity. It was about who you are in the spirit, what you carry, and the impact heaven destined you to make. Every chosen one carries a unique spiritual fingerprint, something that cannot be duplicated, stolen, or manipulated. Darkness hates this fingerprint because it represents divine authority. It represents access to realms that demons cannot enter. It represents a mission that the enemy cannot stop. This is why they wanted you removed. They wanted your identity erased from the spiritual pathway you are assigned to walk. The enemy sees your potential long before you fully recognize it. They see the light around you. They see the anointing resting on your life. They see the way your presence disrupts dark agendas. They see how your prayers shift atmospheres, how your intuition exposes hidden intentions, and how your resilience weakens their attacks. You do not move like ordinary people. You do not absorb energy the way others do. You do not fall the way others fall. You rise in ways that confuse them. Your identity carries power, and this power is precisely why they wanted you gone. Chosen. One identity is everything in the spirit. It determines your authority, your influence, and your spiritual access. When the enemy tries to curse a chosen one, they often attempt to attack identity first. They want you confused about who you are. They want you weakened in your purpose. They want you disconnected from your calling. They want you unsure about your spiritual assignment. But they cannot directly touch your identity because it is sealed by the Most High. So instead they attack what represents you. Your name, your presence, your image, your photo. They hope that by damaging the symbol they can weaken the vessel. They hope that by aiming at the representation they can disconnect you from your purpose. But this is where they fail every time. Your identity is not stored in your image. Your identity is stored in your spirit. Your spirit belongs to God. Your purpose is woven into divine blueprint. Your authority comes from heaven, not from anything that can be manipulated on earth. The enemy sees your image as an access point, but heaven does not allow chosen vessels to be spiritually duplicated or replaced. When they targeted your photo, they were trying to form a spiritual clone, an empty container that they could attach destruction to. But the container could not attach to your identity. It had no anchor. It had no essence. It had no permission. This is why the dead body appeared. It represented the collapse of the spiritual clone. It represented the destruction of the false identity they tried to project onto you. It represented the death of the spiritual container they hoped would hold their curse. They wanted you gone because your identity threatens them. Your existence destabilizes the darkness around them. You are not just a person. You are a spiritual disruptor. You expose spirits without speaking a word. You break generational patterns without trying. You bring clarity into confusion. You carry power that darkness cannot imitate. Chosen, one another reason they wanted you gone is because chosen vessels are assigned to territories. Your presence affects the environment around you. When you enter a place, the atmosphere shifts. When you speak, chains break. When you move, hidden forces scatter. The enemy saw that you were stepping into a season where your influence would increase. They saw that your anointing was rising. They saw that doors were opening for you. They saw that your spirit was awakening. They knew that if they let you continue, you would disrupt far more than they could handle. So they attempted to remove you before your full potential activated. But darkness cannot remove someone who is aligned with destiny. Your identity is not something they can destroy. It is written in the spirit. It is protected by divine law. The enemy can send fear. They can send confusion. They can send projections. But they cannot remove someone God has established. This is why the curse failed. This is why the ritual collapsed. This is why the dead body symbol appeared. Heaven intervened before the attack could even reach your spiritual field. Chosen one identity attacks are always a sign of elevation. When heaven prepares to lift you, darkness attempts to silence you. This pattern has existed since ancient times. Every chosen vessel faced identity attacks before stepping into their purpose. The enemy wants you disconnected from your divine nature because once you recognize who you are, you become unstoppable. They wanted your identity gone because your identity unlocks realms they cannot access. They wanted your voice silenced because your voice carries spiritual weight. They wanted your energy dimmed because your energy exposes their intentions. You must also understand that chosen ones carry spiritual brightness. Your aura is powerful. Your presence burns the eyes of those who operate in darkness. You are not targeted because you were weak. You are targeted because you are spiritually luminous. Darkness cannot function comfortably around you. People who harbor negative intentions feel exposed in your presence. This exposure makes them uncomfortable, and that discomfort transforms into jealousy, resentment, or hatred. They mistake your spiritual purity for a threat. They mistake your calling for competition. They mistake your innocence for vulnerability. This is why they cursed your photo. They wanted to stop what they cannot control. They wanted to silence what they cannot understand. They wanted to destroy what they cannot duplicate. But chosen ones cannot be spiritually cloned. Your frequency is unique. Your spirit carries a signature that darkness cannot imitate. They tried to create a spiritual version of you that they could attack, but the version they created died immediately. It had no life. It had no connection to your destiny. It was a hollow projection, empty and powerless. Chosen one. The identity attack also reveals the truth about your enemies. They feared your rise. They feared your awakening. They feared your divine assignment. They feared the authority you were stepping into. They knew that once you recognized your spiritual strength, nothing could touch you. The ritual against your photo was their last attempt to regain control, but instead of removing you, they exposed themselves. They revealed their intentions to heaven, and heaven responded with force. The dead body symbol also serves another purpose. It marks the end of their influence. The attack they formed against your identity boomeranged back into their own energy field. The ritual collapsed, and the spiritual backlash returned to them. You remained untouched because you were never the target. Your identity is too powerful, too divine, too established in the spirit to be altered by the hands of ordinary people. Chosen One, understand this truth now. You were never in danger. You were never vulnerable. You were never spiritually accessible to them. Everything they attempted died in the spirit. Everything they formed collapsed under divine authority. Everything they sent returned to the sender. Your identity remains intact, elevated and fortified by heaven. What they tried to attack has now become your confirmation. You are chosen, you are rising, and your identity is protected by God Himself, the great spiritual substitution that saved you. Chosen One. There is a mystery in the spiritual realm that very few people ever learn, and even fewer understand. But you must understand it now, because it is directly connected to what happened when they cursed your photo. When the enemy attempts to send destruction toward a chosen vessel, heaven does not simply block the attack. Heaven replaces the target. Heaven creates a spiritual substitution. This substitution is not a human being, not a soul, not a life. It is a spiritual construct, a container formed by divine intelligence. It exists for one purpose only, to intercept what was never meant for you. This substitution absorbs the attack, neutralizes the energy, and brings the ritual to its own death. And this, Chosen One, is exactly what happened in your case. The dead body you saw, the lifeless figure that appeared in the spirit, was not a warning about your end. It was the substitution that stood in your place. Heaven placed something in the line of fire that represented the attack, but carried none of your essence. This container has no consciousness, no identity, no spiritual thread. It is designed to receive the blow so that nothing touches the chosen vessel. The enemy believes they are striking you, but they are striking a divine decoy. And because the decoy is lifeless, the ritual collapses the moment it connects. That is why the dead body appeared. It was the death of the attack, not the death of your destiny. Chosen One. This substitution is a supernatural demonstration of protection. It is not something heaven uses for everyone. It is reserved for those who carry purpose, for those who walk with divine assignment, for those whose timeline cannot be interfered with. The Most High has already declared that your life will unfold according to divine schedule, and no force of darkness has the authority to remove you before your mission is complete. The spiritual substitution is heaven's statement that what the enemy sends cannot touch what God has chosen. Many people misunderstand spiritual attacks. They think that curses, spells, or projections hit instantly. But the truth is, these attacks must connect with the target's spiritual identity to activate. The reason heaven forms a substitution is because the enemy's attack cannot connect with your spiritual signature. The substitution acts as a barrier, taking the imprint of your image without taking the imprint of your identity. It gives darkness something to aim at while keeping your spirit completely untouched. This is divine strategy. This is spiritual warfare executed on a level that demons and dark workers cannot comprehend. Chosen One. What the enemy does not know is that heaven watches every movement they make. Nothing escapes divine vision. When they targeted your photo, heaven saw their intention, their preparation, and their timing. And before the ritual even reached a point of activation, the substitution was already in place. The moment they attempted to project death energy toward you, it redirected toward the container heaven provided. This is why you felt sudden shifts, unusual dreams, strange heaviness, or moments of unexplained energy. It was not the attack touching you. It was your spirit sensing the collision happening outside of your field. What you must understand now is that the substitution took the entirety of the attack. None of it reached you. None of it attached to your destiny. None of it entered your spiritual atmosphere. The dead body in the vision was not a threat. It was a confirmation of interception. It was heaven revealing to you that the curse died before it could even locate your identity. It was God showing you the end result of an attack you never needed to fear. Chosen One. The spiritual substitution also serves another purpose. It exposes the enemy's intention without compromising your well-being. The reason you sensed the attack, the reason you felt something was off, is because heaven wanted you to become aware of what was happening behind the scenes. God does not reveal attacks to frighten chosen ones. God reveals attacks to elevate discernment. Your spiritual senses needed this awakening because you are stepping into a season where you must operate with sharper intuition and deeper understanding. The substitution kept you safe while allowing you to witness the reality of spiritual warfare in your life. But there is more. The substitution does not only intercept attacks, it sends a message to darkness. It sends a message that you are off limits. It sends a message that chosen ones cannot be accessed through rituals, curses, or projections. It sends a message that heaven is actively involved in guarding your destiny. Darkness recognizes when an attack fails. They recognize the moment the curse collapses. They recognize when spiritual forces higher than their own intervene. And when a substitution appears, it signals to them that they have touched a protected vessel. Chosen one, understand this clearly. You were never the target. They aimed at your image, but heaven never allowed them to access your life. You have a spiritual shield around you that cannot be penetrated by human intention or demonic influence. The substitution was formed to absorb the blow, end the ritual, and prevent any spiritual residue from attaching to your field. This is why you did not experience physical symptoms, emotional disruption, or spiritual damage. Everything died in the substitution. Nothing reached you. Another powerful truth is this. When heaven uses a substitution, it is because your purpose is entering a higher phase. Elevation always attracts spiritual warfare, not because you are weak, but because you are valuable. Not because darkness sees an opportunity, but because the enemy sees what you are about to become. The attempted attack on your photo was not random. It was a reaction to your rising power. You are stepping into a new level of authority, and the enemy tried to stop you before you recognized it. But heaven stepped in and declared that this attempt would not only fail, it would reveal your true spiritual ranking. The dead body symbol therefore represents three things. First, it represents the death of the curse formed against you. Second, it represents the destruction of the spiritual container the enemy attempted to use. And third, it represents the divine substitution that took your place in the line of fire. This is not something to fear. This is something to understand. It means you are protected on levels you have not yet fully realized. It means heaven is actively defending you because your mission is too important to be interfered with. Chosen one, your spiritual journey is shifting. You are no longer someone who merely survives attacks. You are someone who grows from them, someone who learns from them, someone who becomes stronger because of them. The substitution saved you not because you are weak, but because you are destined to walk into greater spiritual authority. The enemy underestimated your connection to God. They believed they could remove you. They believed they could silence your purpose. They believed they could manipulate your image. But heaven demonstrated that you are untouchable. Chosen one, understand this and let it settle deeply within your spirit. Nothing sent against you can prosper. Nothing formed against your life can succeed. Nothing aimed at your destiny can activate. The substitution is the proof that heaven stands between you and every intention of darkness. You are protected, preserved, and positioned for greatness. What the enemy meant for destruction became the confirmation of your divine rank. This attack did not weaken you. It revealed who you are. It showed you the level of protection surrounding your life. It awakened you to your authority. You are not just surviving, you are rising. And heaven has already prepared the next level of your journey. The path forward. What you must do now. Chosen one. Now that you understand what truly happened, the most important question becomes this. What should you do next? When heaven steps in to protect you with such precision, it is never only about the attack. It is also about your direction. This moment is not simply a sign of your protection. It is a sign of your transition. You are stepping into a new stage of spiritual development, and you must walk forward with clarity, intention, and spiritual awareness. God preserved you because there is something ahead that requires your full presence, your full mind, your full spirit. First, you must recognize your spiritual authority. You are not someone who barely escapes attacks. You are someone who walks with divine covering. Nothing formed against you could activate because your spirit is marked by heaven. If you continue to walk as if you are vulnerable, you will misunderstand the magnitude of your calling. The enemy did not target your photo because you are weak. They targeted it because you are powerful. This means you must carry yourself from now on as someone God has chosen for a specific purpose. Second, you must guard your spiritual atmosphere. This does not mean living in fear. It means living in awareness. Pay attention to what you allow near your energy. Pay attention to the people who speak over you. Pay attention to the places where your spirit feels uneasy. When heaven protects you through divine substitution, it is a reminder that darkness is aware of your existence. You do not need to be paranoid, but you must be wise. Keep your environment spiritually clean. Stay connected to God. Stay aligned with the truth of who you are. Third, listen closely to your intuition. Your spirit has been awakened through this experience. This was not only a battle, it was a spiritual initiation. Your discernment has increased. You may find yourself sensing things before they happen, feeling shifts in the atmosphere, or recognizing deception more quickly. These are not coincidences. They are upgrades. Heaven sharpened your senses because the next phase of your journey requires greater awareness. Trust your inner voice. Trust the gentle warnings. Trust the spiritual nudges that guide you. Fourth, embrace your assignment. Chosen vessels are protected because they are needed. There is something you are meant to do that no one else can fulfill. This attack was a sign of your relevance in the spiritual realm. If the enemy wanted you gone, it is because your presence threatens their plans. You must now walk boldly into your calling. Whether you know the full details or not, your steps are being guided. Move forward with confidence. Pray with authority. Speak with conviction. Live as someone heaven backs fully. Fifth, release fear. Fear is the only tool the enemy has left. The attack already failed. The curse already died. The substitution already absorbed everything sent your way. What remains is only the memory of an attempt that never stood a chance against the Most High. Do not let fear create openings that darkness could not create themselves. You are safe. You are protected. You are covered. When heaven defends you so visibly, it is a reminder that you have nothing to fear going forward. Sixth, strengthen your connection with God. This does not require complicated rituals. It requires consistency. Speak to God genuinely. Stay present in your spiritual practices. Keep your heart aligned with truth. Heaven protected you because your purpose is valuable, but protection is also an invitation. God is calling you deeper. God wants you to walk with Him not just when danger comes, but in everyday moments. The more aligned you are with the divine, the easier it becomes to navigate spiritual challenges without confusion. Seventh, protect your image. This does not mean hiding. It means being mindful. Do not share your photos carelessly. Do not allow people with questionable intentions access to your personal energy. When you share your image, your presence travels with it. There is power in images, and chosen ones carry even more spiritual imprint than ordinary people. Be intentional about where your image goes. This is not fear, it is wisdom. Eighth, understand that your enemies exposed themselves. Their attempt to curse your photo revealed their intentions, their hidden jealousy, their resentment toward your elevation. You do not need to confront them. You do not need to argue. You do not need to prove anything. The exposure itself was the victory. God showed you who they are. Take note. Move wisely. Do not invite them back into your inner circle. Let the revelation guide your boundaries. Ninth, Walk into your new season with confidence. This experience marked the end of an old cycle. The dead body symbol was not only the death of the attack, it was the death of the version of you that tolerated spiritual interference. You are stronger now. You are clearer now. You are elevated now. Step into your purpose with boldness. Darkness failed, and it will continue to fail because heaven has claimed your destiny. Finally, chosen one, be grateful. Not with fear, but with strength. Gratitude opens pathways. Gratitude stabilizes your spirit. Gratitude aligns you with divine flow. Thank God for the protection. Thank heaven for the substitution. Thank the Most High for the discernment you gained. You are rising, transforming and shifting into a higher spiritual identity. What you do next will define the path ahead. Move with intention. Walk with authority. And remember that nothing can touch a destiny guarded by God. Conclusion. Chosen one, now that everything has been revealed, take a moment to let this truth settle into your spirit. What happened to your photo was never a sign of your destruction. It was a sign of divine protection, divine reversal, and divine authority surrounding your life. The dead body you saw, the collapse you sensed, the heaviness that touched your spirit for a moment was not your ending. It was the ending of the assignment formed against you. Darkness tried to write a story God did not approve, and the moment they attempted it, heaven intervened with power. You were never in danger. You were never within reach of their intentions. You were never spiritually accessible to the curse. The substitution stood in your place, absorbed everything sent your way, and revealed the truth of who you are. You are chosen, guarded and sealed by the Most High. Every attack collapses, every projection dissolves, every ritual dies before it can even locate your identity. This is the life of a chosen vessel. Chosen one. You must walk forward now, with confidence, not fear. What you experienced was not a warning of what could happen. It was a revelation of what cannot happen to you. Your destiny is protected. Your mission is active. Your spirit is rising into a new level of strength and clarity. The enemy's failure was the announcement of your elevation. Carry this truth with you. Live it. Honor it. Let it shape the way you move, the way you think, the way you protect your energy. You have entered a new season, and nothing formed against you will ever succeed. Chosen one, remember this always. You are alive because heaven said so, and no darkness can argue with the will of God.